Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about something I added to my angle grinder recently that I found to be very useful. Now, I put this piece of metal on here. It's a bracket. I don't know where I got it from. It came in this shape when I got it. The only thing I added was a square hole for a carriage bolt. The slot and everything was here. It may have been salvaged. I'm not sure. I got two of them. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to add something that would let me take a piece of bed frame that is that wide and make the piece of bed frame that wide. So I wanted to be able to take a long, thin piece off the side safely. So I built this, which lets me ride this along the edge, attached to here, which means I get a nice, straight, even cut. I did not grind that at all. That is the cut that the angle grinder made with the cutoff disc, and it's straight enough for my good, for me. All I did was deburr it. But having done this, in the process of making a bunch of these, I left this in place while I was cutting things to size, to length, and then I realized I like this here. I liked having this on the here. It gave me something to hold on to. But it's kind of an awkward shape. It's got sharp, and it's pointy and things. And for its purpose, it's fine. And I will be using it again in the future. But for day-to-day cutting, I'm like, okay, why don't I try something a little different? So I took this plug, and this is, by the way, this is unplugged, so don't anyone freak out about safety. I took this plug here, which was from another project. You can see the hole where the hole cutter came on. I sanded it, put a chamfer on the edge, build the second hole, and used a longer carriage bolt, because again there's a square hole in here, so this carriage bolt works perfect. And I put an acorn nut on the top so that it is comfortable, because this is where my hand ends up, and I find that I'm holding it like this. It's very comfortable outside, finger on top, thumb here. This is a very comfortable grip, and it gives me so much more control. When I have both my hands out here, it always felt like the disc wanted to really do its own thing. Particularly when you have to make an initial line or something on a piece of metal, that it really felt like it wanted to go everywhere. With this, I have much more of a sense of control. Now, the disadvantage to this particular model is that this is a toolless movement guard. There's a little switch down there, right there, that lets you put this into any position you want it within the limits of its travel without a tool. The problem is if I put this way, it'll go click into the next position. So I always got to make sure I'm kind of pushing this way when I'm doing it. So I'm having a little bit of attention there. But a little bit of attention isn't an issue, because it just means that I'm holding this, I'm pushing that way, I got the control I want. This is a super simple process. This was just two holes. I did make them square because those are both carriage bolts, because I wanted to use really thin fasteners, and those two carriage bolts came out of a salvaged satellite dish. I got the satellite dishes. I like to make shields out of them. So just, in fact, these are the fasteners. Again, these are the fasteners with the shield from that, and I have reused some of the other ones already. They're just really nice little carriage bolts. So this, super simple. This does not drill difficult. I just removed it, and because of that toolless feature, could get this off without any tools. Awesome. I really like DeWalt. This angle grinder is awesome. This is the compact model. But yeah, adding this here has really made this whole process much more comfortable for me. Now, I have arthritis, so having something that takes some of the stress off of both of my thumbs, because now I've got my whole hand engaged in here, and I'm pinching with the meat of my hand as opposed to my thumb, this is comfortable for me. That's another reason I made it large. But you can make it any shape you want to. This is just an idea I'm throwing out there. But yeah, this has made my job a lot easier as a craftsperson. So very happy with it, and I can make an adjustment if I want to make it further away. I haven't needed it. That's the position it was in when I did this sizing here, and I haven't moved it since, because why move it? I don't need to move it. And I feel safe out here. My hand's here, but when you're cutting, you've got this down, so the gap between the material is less. It's this big, so I'm not too concerned about it causing me a problem, my hand being pulled in there. I have not felt unsafe ever using this thing, and I've never really felt unsafe with my hands back here. I'm a very safety cautious person. I really like my fingers. I would really like to keep all of them. I mean, when I'm in my shop, I'm wearing steel-toed shoes, and I have goggles and headphone and ear protection. I don't take this stuff lightly. But yeah, this is a simple modification. Anybody could do it. Probably wicked cheap. Again, all the things here I had in my shop. I didn't have to go get anything. It was all right here. And I'm sure that a lot of folks out there who also have shops could kludge something like this together just as quickly. I didn't weld anything because, well, I don't own a welder and I don't know how to weld. That's something I want to do in the future. But another reason I didn't want to weld, because I didn't know if this was going to work its way into my process for a single purpose, which was this, or would it end up long term? And it looks like it's going to end up long term. So I didn't want to have it permanent. I don't like permanent things if I can avoid them. I like things that I can remove if I don't want them there anymore. So that's one of the reasons I use carriage bolts instead of welding. I'd actually seen somebody making a guide that helped them make these kind of cuts and stuff that was welded on, and again, I don't want to get married to something if I don't know that thing is going to work its way into my process permanently or not. This can easily be removed, and all I end up with is 2 little square holes in my guard. Big deal. Okay, like I said, I find this really useful. You folks might find this really useful. I'm very happy with it. You know, if you get the time and the stuff, give it a shot.